Yes, hi people. So yeah, um, welcome to today's stream. Um, sorry, I've had a few issues with the stream and starting it and launching it and things like that. So this is actually the third time I've actually triggered this live stream this evening. But yeah, just to kind of reintroduce the idea and the direction for this evening. I'm looking to rebuild an agent monitoring tool, just to kind of fix an issue that I've had over the last couple of months, a bit longer than the last couple of months. I initially built an agent monitoring system that would give me like a visual representation of everything that an agent would be doing once I've triggered it. All the files it interacts with and things of that nature, just so that I can see and pinpoint certain errors before they happen, verify certain checks are being done, and just kind of, again, just at the start, it was more of a novelty, because I wanted to see everything that the agent was actually up to under the hood. Obviously you can click and see the thinking section when you've triggered a prompt on chat, for example, or even within Claude Code or any of these harnesses these days, you can click and see every decision or thought that an agent is actually making. But I wanted to make it a bit more comprehensive than that. So essentially I'm building a cockpit for myself as an AI engineer, just to be able to track progress, to track the routing of an agent. There's a few more other bits of functionality that I actually want to add to this. Then yeah, from there, I want to be able to kind of go through the motions, help me a bit better streamline and align my work packages, help me with shipping a bit better, without having all of the cloudiness, the fogs, and kind of context switching between different tasks, different projects, and just to help me, again, better align. There's a lot more functionality that we'll be able to see in my planning document. I kind of don't want to give it all away now. I just wanted to introduce the stream, and then go through this build from the beginning with you. I have skipped ahead slightly, just because I've already kind of gone through a few iterations of this, and so it is, you will have to bear with me, just ever so slightly. But yeah, we should be able to start soon, and start getting on with this. So I'm just going to switch screens back to Claude, just so that we can, yeah, you should be able to see that now. I'll move this across a bit more. So yeah, so just to give you a bit of context, I've already actually set up the environment with a few files in there. In that, I will just quickly close these because we don't need them. And yeah, so there is a Claude MD, and this is kind of just like a directive in terms of the approach, what's in scope, what's not in scope, and that sort of thing. It's not the full plan. It's just more so rules and things like that for Claude. There's an initial skill that's just set up. Again, we will be adding a few more skills to this, and I'm about to add the first one, which will help me with my planning phase. So the first thing I actually want to do, and I'm doing this because I've tripped up on this hurdle a couple of times, not out of intention, but just, it's a lot easier to see which folder you're in other harnesses. So yeah, just for the sake of best practice and making sure that I'm working in the correct folder, I'm just going to do a CD to the folder that I actually want, Axo cockpit. Cool. Just make sure that I'm actually working in there, and then I'm going to switch from this automatic mode that we're currently in, which you're not. Yeah, so we're just in auto mode at the moment. And I want to just quickly press Shift and Tab, switch over to planning mode, which you can see now. So now that I'm in planning mode, yeah, so these are the sample folders that I've actually got within this directory. So my AXO cockpit, and I don't need to have this edited or open for editing, so I've closed that down. So the first thing I actually want to do is trigger the grill me skill. So I've already dropped in my plan, and do I want to put it into here? No, it already has my plan within the download folder, or my draft spec, which is open down here at the bottom. You can't see it. I'll drag up, so it's open here. So this is the first thing that I actually want to do. So I want to call my what's it called, my grill me skill. So I'll just quickly press this. So grill me on the spec below. I'm gonna just quickly copy this path. Yeah. Bumper. And let's get this spec to a final draft. And then just reiterate, make sure are working directly in the AXO cockpit. I don't want to add it. I don't want to add that file to my actual code base at the moment, or my project directly at the moment. It's fine sitting where it is. Once we actually have that final spec, I'll be able to go through and add. We'll build that plan and seal it within the project directory. But in terms of this draft spec, I want to keep that out of the project folder entirely. We can obviously reference it. We can go to it. It can read it, which it has done here. And now it's triggering this grill me skill. This grill me skill is going to ask me a few questions that are really iterative. But each of the responses that come from this grill me session are going to really help in terms of shaping the plan, shaping each and every single like bit of the skeleton of this build. And then moving forward, we'll obviously be able to have a really thorough we'll have a really thorough plan that we can then obviously benchmark everything else off. All of the audits, all of the tests, all of the greppings, everything will be based off of that plan that we build. So then it takes this from a vibe code built application, something that's actually quite repeatable, something that we can obviously always reference, and something that we can future proof going forward as well. So this is where we're at now. I'm just waiting for this to kind of finish reading through all of its various bits and bobs, and then from there, once the skill has actually triggered, and we've started the grill me session, I'll be able to kind of go through everything from there, and yeah, we can start. Cool. So now it's saying it's got a picture of what needs to happen. The gate is already written and frozen. Naming mismatch and X, Y, and Z. Cool. So basis redundancy, color and timestamps and blah blah blah. Right. So I'm just going back to this now so you can see what the grilling session is coming back with. So step 6, obviously in the plan, the basis recency color on timestamps and blah blah blah. Claude's conversation exports may not carry a per message timestamp and only a conversation level created and updated exist. How should per note recency be derived? I think it should always be per message. Go back to conversation. Always conversational. Every note in the conversation shares one timestamp. Simplest and guaranteed, but loses within conversation recency. Okay, so I think in the first instance we can do it to this because it's granular. It's more granular. And then obviously if it's something that we need to change, we can do that further down the line. And the good thing about this as well, at the end of this grilling session, we'll have an overview of every decision that we've made. So then we can obviously go forward from there. It says the same conversation link, all notes from one conversation read literally. That's a full click. Conversation with n notes produces n minus 1 divided by 2 times n edges, so it's a large number of edges. And every note mark down wiki links to every sibling. 50 message convo, that's 1,225 edges. Okay, so the annoying thing is, if it's actually, if this is actually, I want to know if this is actually cooled down the grill me skill, but we'll be able to see that in a second as well. Sorry about this, my phone's vibrating. What's going on? All right. Cool. Given the frozen gate ties, given the yeah, sorry about that. Just getting messages from group chat. Yeah, so given the frozen gate ties and MD file count to note and requires an edge point, how do we realize the per conversation? How do we realize the per conversation? How do we choose? Anchor equals the first note. Designate each conversation first substantive note as its anchor. All other notes in that convo link to the star plus. Emit a separate hub. MD per conversation under vault conversation. MD. No, that's gonna be too many. Gonna be too many. Right, we'll do it that way. Okay, cool. So vanilla Obsidian can't size graph nodes by character length. It sizes the link count, and arbitrary size needs a plugin. How should a final spec treat size equals method encoding? Store it as data, defer visual, keep the character length, size the front in the front matter as raw metadata, usable for shortening and filtering. Okay, yeah, cool. But remove the claim that the size, yeah, no, that's fine. Slice one guarantees any color except succeeding native behavior. Bigger nodes equals more connected nodes, and reframe. No, I want to keep it at that actually, because that's a bit more familiar. And again, just to give you a bit more context on that, the whole node tree idea, or the graph idea, if any of you have used Obsidian before, that's essentially how I want those neural network and the links between all of my chat, my ideation, my thoughts and things like that to be displayed visually. And I've seen this kind of done in different iterations in terms of like a business neural network and things like that. And eventually, I suppose this is something that can be repurposed towards that. But this again is something I'm building for myself, and something, if you follow along to this, something that you can end up building for yourself instead of paying someone else for the software. So hash file names make Obsidian graph unreadable. The corner stable data. So what should the vault file names be? Date plus slug, short hash, e.g. No, I don't like that. Cleaner names, but 2 notes with identical opening words. Disambiguation. Append index to stay safe. Keep hash file names. File name equals ID hash. No, we want it clean because I don't want it to look crazy. But as long as we've got this kind of like catchment of if 2 files have the same file name and date and things like that, we've got something that's more deterministic that we require, and obviously we can pick that can then help kind of separate these 2 things and remove that and kind of deduplicate. So we're going to go for keeping the file name just clean and easy, but having that logic in the background that deduplicates and delinks them if there is any kind of ambiguity created, doing it that way. And again, man, these are the steps. These are the boring bits, but you can see that having all of these things set from an initial plan, because I just want to show you this this document really quickly. The initial draft is not a small document. Do you know what I mean? It's really not a small document, and a lot of people will go crazy, and I've done it in the past. I'm not, saying that again that I'm perfect to kind of working in this format. This is something that's new that I'm trying to implement, and kind of implement a lot more structure in terms of the way that I'm building things. So it is very steered. It takes longer, but that time that I'm spending kind of just sitting here and going through each item and kind of answering and picking, number one, it's giving and building more familiarity within me in terms of how my system is going to end up working, because every single decision and every kind of crossroad, I'm there to make and help steer that decision. It's not something that I'm leaving to the AI to choose for me. because I've just asked it to create me something that looks like Obsidian or behaves like Obsidian, and then does X, Y, and Z, because all of these things it would have chosen for me. And then if I ever need to kind of update a feature or correct something, because I'm not involved in the steering process, I'm not sure how all of these things have been wired together by the AI. It completely shuts me out of any kind of debugging or future proofing of the system. So yeah, so this is why this is good. So right, so to deliver the color and recency, to deliver color equals recency for free on the first open, should ingest also emit a deterministic Obsidian graph that maps the 4 recency tags and color groups. And that just basically means like a message, yeah? So it's like a pop-up of some sort. So let's say, for example, message sent or has arrived or saved emits. It's just basically emitting something. So if you imagine a light, that's what it means by that, to send out a signal that something has happened, or when a step in the build has been done, right? So that's what it means by this question. How do I want the system to actually handle emit? So the options here are ship the graph .json, which basically ingests and writes the Obsidian graph with 4 color groups keyed on the recency tag, and then the vault opens are already color coded by recency, honored by the Obsidian render for free. Goal is the goal with 0 manual step. The file is deterministic with an AC4 bit identity hold, which is the recommended. And then tags only. We'll go for that one. It's not a decision that I was too fussed about, so we'll go with that one. Oh, what's next? Oh, that's locked into the plan. Where should the project root live? And what happens to the scaffold's content? Unpack it into the cockpit root, of course. Why not? And I'm gonna need a drink shortly as well, to be fair. A bit parched. Right. The substantive message. Right, so the substantive message rule. Why am I slurring my words? The substantive message rule. Role user assistant, invisible prose, under 40 characters, including design, which message become the notes, and you commit by this exact rule to set expected note count. Keep over 40 characters or change it. Note, Claude messages often have content as lists of blocks and will count length of concatenated text blocks only, ignoring the tool use. Okay, cool. So we're gonna keep it the same as Claude. Okay, cool. So now we're on to the last one. How should skipped count be defined? Nice and easy for the last one. Okay, so this is finished the planning phase, or the grill me phase, and then from this it should actually output a plan. that we can then just review. So it's right in the plan now, which includes a finalized spec and how it lands in the cockpit. So what I'm going to do with that, and this is something that it's a little practice that I do, which I'm going to now benchmark and ask for a peer review of this plan using Codex, see if there's any kind of like gaps that we've left out. I'll give it some context. I'll give it the initial plan and whatnot, and then see what it thinks of that. And then I'll plug that back in to get a final peer review of that version. And then again, it's just to remove any kind of gaps that we've got and make the initial plan as robust as possible. Right. So let's go through it. So the context, the user has a draft, blah blah blah, personal manager slice ingest spine, and wants me to grow the final draft. The personal draft is spec. Okay, cool. Decisions resolved during the grilling. Recency bias, edge topology, and that's like the edge of nodes and stuff like that. And size encoding. Okay, cool. And this is just for this. Go with the visual encoding, the recency bias. Gate integrity. Cool. So that we can. Don't get me wrong, people. I know that at the start of this, I did say that I'm building something that will help me track what my AI is doing, but I did say it is going to be a cockpit because the initial step is it needs to have an understanding of me, what I've got going on, and everything else like that. And then what all of my agents are doing, that will be its own kind of little path that I can go in and monitor. And then when I now launch agents to connect to certain different bits within the cockpit and my EA and my mentor, things like that, I want to be able to actually then have that library of information being pulled through and feeding what they're then doing and kind of suggesting to me. And that will then build an infrastructure that will help me and co-pilot and kind of do things for me. That's the intention behind this. I might not be articulating it very well at the moment, but I'm hoping that once you see it in action, it will make a lot more sense. So I actually want to escape out of this because I've not finished with what I'm doing. I did want to make sure they actually did use the grill meat tool. So can you skill? Because I was answered, yeah, okay, cool. So it did use that. And then now I'm gonna get this all. Select all. Yep, copy. And then I want to get it into code. I want to get into Codex. Dot. Pit. I want to get Claude Code looking. Sorry, not Claude Code. I want to get Copilot looking at the right folder. Pilot. Try to switch into. Additional some bots. Had me spawn a hiccup. For the next command, I'll use this as the work directly on. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know why. Okay, cool. Do you want to allow? I don't know why Codex isn't run like this. Okay, so I've got the plan now. I'm going to sanity check it. If it's actually factual, especially the scaffold test. Assumption. Do you want to allow backups for folders so I can verify against the local? Yes. Cool. And the reason I do this is, again, just because these LLMs all have their strengths and weaknesses. As much as I lean on and I love Claude, if I had to pick one just to use, it would be Claude entirely. But I can't be, like that naive. So I do these peer reviews between the two LLMs all the time. Just to get, again, the best of all worlds, and yeah, just see what it suggests differently. And then once I plug that back into the main tool that I'm using, which is Claude, I want to see what it thinks of that feedback. Do you want to allow reading the frozen acceptance test from a zip for peer review? Yeah. It's simpler than the proposed spec in a few important ways. It checks counts, root markdown, blah 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 blah. Do you want to allow reading for fixture? That's fine. It does not directly assert database schema, graph coloring, and stuff like that. Topology. The difference in big part. That difference is a big part of the gap analysis. Okay. And you see, like, this bit here. So again, just to give you a bit more context into why it is that I want to build that tool. So it's like this here of kind of going through, and you can't see what exactly it's doing to get to what it, and I want to be able to see everything that's happening in the background, exactly what it's consulting. Cool, it's access this folder, it's reading through this file. Like, I want to be able to see all of that happening, the bare bones. I'm interested in that. I don't want to be in the background. I want to be involved. Cool. So the current rules are directionally good, but still leave room for two implementations to produce different bytes. Tighten these up. So the hash algorithm digest length is SHA-25, SHA-256 hex. The text normalization before hashing, new line, white space, and code normalization, timestamp normalization, time zone handling, missing timestamp behavior, slug algorithm, the max length and stuff like that. Cool. So it's found all of these gaps, right? So in terms of things that are just not locked down. The malformed JSON behavior is underspecified. So the truncated JSON plus bad entries skipped sounds like partial recovery from an invalid JSON, but Python's standard lib JSON parser cannot naturally recover entries from the truncated top level files, since the gate only requires do not raise and skips the count. Clarify that a fully unparsable export may return 0 notes, and obviously this then errors out. And that was I think it was the last or the second to last question that we were asked during the Grow Me session. The privacy risks around committing real exports. The plan says that real Claude exports is a committed fixture. This may be acceptable for local repo, but it should be called out explicitly. Better word than commit only the repo if the repo is private. Yeah, that's a good shout. Security, see that? Codex is hot on security, and Claude Code wasn't. Who'd have known? Who'd have guessed? Cool. And the fixture has been reviewed. Otherwise, user minimize sanitized row schema. Fixture core obsidian graph coloring is brittle. External contract. Write an obsidian of it is useful, but the gate does not verify an obsidian config format is not the same kind of stable API as Python data classes. Keep it, but mark it as best effort verified manually. Okay, cool. So that's fine. Recommended change in the gate. Cool. So and then approve the architecture. Approve the architecture. Do not treat it as final yet. Cool. That's fine. And then now what I want to actually do is, so this is the plan for this bit, and then now once I seal this, so I'm going to obviously feed it back to Claude Code, but once I lock this down, the next step will be to actually go through the skills as well that I'm going to need. And again, things like the handoff, and you see how we then structure this to be able to build it in a way. We're not going to try and one shot it. That's not the objective here, because we've got all of these other principles to build on top of this in terms of how we're going to verify and validate that each bit has been done properly, how we're going to get it so that it's self-fixing, so that once it actually starts working on a single slice or a single work package, it's going to iterate and iterate and iterate until it actually gets it right. We're going to have to bake in all of the definitions. So for example, if we're sending off a file to be reviewed or referenced, or we want it to look up something online or whatever else, defining that we want to use the very low level agents and models for that, because it's going to be a lower cost in terms of the tokens that are being used up. So all of these things are what we're going to bake into the next steps once we've sealed this. That's going to be that's going to be next. So I'm going to now just copy this top part and just slap it straight back into Claude. But I'm going to do this as a new session, right? So open a new session, but so I'm going to go here. Right, so handoff. This is again a skill that I've customized from Matt. That's going to help me keep my token utilization as low as possible. It's not triggered or flagged anything just yet, because it's not nowhere near the actual limit or the actual cap. But the whole idea with this is to always be within the smart zone in terms of the token utilization per session. We want to keep that under 140. But I kind of go a little bit higher. I've got a bit of a higher threshold, under 160 K tokens, and then hand off a session every single time. So I built this skill, or customized Matt Pocock's skill. Okay. Okay, we'll leave it as is. I didn't know. You learn something new every day. I can't call or write helpers when I'm in plan mode. So you learn something new every day. So I'm gonna leave that as is. We're gonna stay in plan mode for now. We'll open up a new session anyway. Can you, and then obviously just pick up where we left off. Can you peer review or give, can you look through this feedback created and tell me think. Cool. So we've put that back in. Obviously, we plugged it back in, and then we're also using the grill me skill on top of it, just to again see what exactly its thoughts are. We're not just plugging it back in and just saying, "Oh, what do you think?" Let it actually review what's being said, and then let's run another quick grill session on this. Yeah, we'll allow that. Cool, so print spec, CD, fixtures, skills, yes. Cool. So I'm just going through this peer review, and I want to just see what the Claude agent thinks of the peer review that we've come back with, of its plan. Okay, cool. So its initial thoughts are, the review is sharp and mostly accurate about what the gate actually asserts, but it conflates a few things. And several of its gaps are already handled by the spec.md, but we have to remember that the spec.md is, which makes me suspect that there are really gaps in my plan, where it duplicates or drifted from the spec, not gaps in the system. Okay, cool. So where does the plan actually live relative to the spec MD? I searched the whole workspace and found spec MD test features and readme. Okay, so I can't tell if mine is number 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I can't tell whether findings 1, 4, or 7 are real. My plan added content that conflicts or overreaches or phantom. The reviewer rederived concern. The spec already settles. No, but the spec was a draft posed to a that supersedes this after so again context is key. So the draft spec was an input to ideation, and I produced a successor plan plus spec. And the peer review is critiquing. I need to read the successor. Okay, let me find it. Grep hand, blah blah. I can see what it's saying now, to be fair. This is what it's looking for. So I'm gonna copy the path to this and help it a bit, because that's what you're looking for. The thing I hate about these systems sometimes. But with the hate has to come discipline, because on any given day, on any given day, I would have been bored of this and I'd have started just cracking on with the build. But we need to do all of these things in this sort of order, just to set up the project correctly, so that we can build things correctly. And I'll hopefully like try and stream tomorrow during the day, actually, because there's another project that that's kind of ongoing already, and it's in the middle of a build. Probably again, I want to say a good 70% done, and I've got a deadline to ship that one by, I think it's about 2 weeks away. The deadline is so that I've actually tried to implement this kind of workflow or this philosophy mid-flight, and that's come out all right. But doing this from the beginning, you can see that it's not painful, but you have to go through the steps. We've been here for nearly an hour now, and we're still in the planning phase. but it needs to be done. It needs to be done this way because this will eventually accelerate all the questions that we're answering now. We're removing hours of kind of going around in circles with the agents and kind of going down paths that don't work, and then kind of having to decide things, go down a rabbit hole, hit a roadblock, and then come back out of that rabbit hole just to do the same iteration down a different rabbit hole. So we're removing a lot of that kind of like blind firing by doing and spending extra time here now, because once we actually start the iteration, it would just be progressive. What reading the plan changes decision 4, slugs not hashes decisions. So finding number 4 concerns. So finding number 4 slugs concerns are valid, not phantom. And critically, you're on Windows 11. So the reviewer's Windows reserved names, points of real crash risk. So yes, this is again why it's really good to peer review the plan. Your plan chooses human readable slugs, but the hidden cost is it's important. It imports the entire slug determinism subtree, the reviewer flags, which are max length, punctuation, Unicode stripping, and case folding, empty slug foldback, and collision ordering, blah, blah, blah. My recommendation for slice 1, ship hash files, defer slugs to later slices, which is okay. Rationale against the deliverable anchors. Slice 1's job is to prove that the pass, store, and render spine not to be pretty human readable files are a real UX value, but they're gold plating for the slice as real goals. Cool. So, but it's a genuine product call. If I want to browse the Vault folder in the Finder and recognize the notes by file name, it's part of what makes Slice 1 feel good, feel real to you on day one. That's a legitimate reason to keep the slugs. And then we pin the algorithm hard, including the reserved names. Which way? Right, so which way? Hash names drops the risk, keep the slugs, and we fully spec the algorithm. Nah, we do this. Let's not cut corners. It's gonna end up causing a headache later on. There's not really we've got time. I've got time. I don't know about you guys watching, but I've got time. So it's something that's going to be useful for me. So I don't want to cut corners on it. There's no point in cutting corners. It's not going to benefit me by doing that. Go to the slug stays. We pin down the algorithm so it can't diverge or crash on Windows. Here's the spec I'd bake into the deterministic end-to-end whole review, blah blah blah. Cool. Except these or just the lengths, timestamp what's it's chosen, the first date and then hex. No, that's fine, man. Because we can tweak this. This can now be a metric. Except these. No timestamp. Fine. I'm sure we change this if and I'm gonna actually now log it. In issues. Cool. So at least we can log it, and then we can track it. And I'll log the slug length time to the fallback, flagged it. Okay, so that's done. And Q4 Obsidian ship, blah blah blah. My recommendation is to keep writing the JSON deterministically. It's nice when it works, but demote it and move it out, non-negotiable, blah blah blah. Make tags. Dead on. Nah, just keep it. Real Claude export, fixture. How do we square the fixture contract or commit locally? Add a bold note. Export sample contains real personal data. This repo is, yeah, cool. So this is the security layer. Option 2, that get ignore. Yeah, so that will hide it. Adding that dot get ignore will hide it from the public view. But again, there is a bug that I've found. Once using this get ignore, it was still committing files that had the dot in front of them or the dot get ignore. It was just ignoring that. So we do this. Um, but let's also be very cautious. Be very cool. All right, when it gets to the 1 hour mark, I am gonna go downstairs and get a drink because I am thirsty. In fact, I'm just gonna quickly run and get a drink now. Also, it's just making those changes to the grow me output, and then we can obviously then use that to double back on our spec and our plan. And then yeah, from there we'll be able to drop it in, and then start the build. Mm. Cool. Visions way back. Right, cool. So strong and accurate review, sharper than my first read, credited, because once I read the actual plan, two of your own decisions turn several maybe gold plating findings into a real one. So yeah, so the reviewer is one. The reviewer's one real miss. They frame the 10 minutes, 3 things to keep an eye on. All right, cool. Get it. Say whatever. Okay, I think we're ready. And from here, this is where the fun starts. In the code. Waiting for so the spec document has now been moved from the draft, which was in a downloads folder, and this is why I wanted to keep them separate. because now it's actually got the spec sheet in where in the actual project directory. It means that, sorry, I'm a bit distracted. It means that we've got a clean place where that file lives. The draft that we're working from being outside means that we've got this in a place that will not trigger anything silly in our project. We can then kind of fly from there. I'm just kind of consulting Claude just with the final spec just to log it. And again, I'm just doing a final gap analysis of that spec. See if there's anything that we've missed that from my original kind of like fuzzy planning session, just to make sure that we've not missed anything else at all. So here's a final spec. Check in the final spec, and then we can crack on with build. Cool. And of course, this is a really light spec, a really light work package. And yeah, we're nearly ready to fly with this. Okay, cool. So now I actually need to check on the progress. Stream. This is where all of this becomes full circle. I need to actually check my export of all of my data is ready and perfect timing. It is ready to download, which is good. So I can now download all of that data. See how large it is. I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised. It's only 30. It's only 30 MB, which actually is very surprising how light that is. Conversations are JSON, the projects, design chat. Cool. Brilliant. Oh, okay. Maybe it's a lot bigger than that. How did they condense it down to that file size? Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Cool. So what's been blocked? So the spec, drop 3 over export, export samples, include at least one conversation. I'm actually gonna just point it to the folder, tell it to grab the or, here, grab the files, grab samples you need, and copy project. Okay. And then from here, it can do anything. So, and this is your real export. You directing a copy. And this that she's supplying. No application. Let me know. I was actually in the export first. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. That's on you. You're gonna have to look through them. Either I have to condense that data down, or you're gonna have to do it. But either way, you're gonna have to do it. I need a message level schema. Check availability. Cool. So at least that started. So as that's doing its thing, I'll kind of walk you through the philosophy, walk you through what I'm actually doing here and what all of this means. So essentially how I'm building this out, you guys obviously know the big picture in terms of what I'm aiming to get out of this is a full cockpit of my chats and my conversations with all of these AI models and LLMs, and make brain nodes from them. From those brain nodes, I want it to feed and kind of like create a real time kind of not neuro representation, because that's the wrong thing to kind of reference it as, but to basically organize my thoughts, track my thoughts, track my conversations, the things that I generally have talked to AI about over the last X amount of years, and then compile those into thoughts that I can kind of just leave in the background. So those nodes would be quite small. Things that are kind of high value, but maybe I haven't explored them that well, or I've hit a stumbling block and then I've moved on from them, which will be quite a lot. I've got ADHD, so that's something that this will kind of help me keep a bit more of a visual representation of things that I've thought about and then kind of dropped. And then the end goal from this is to kind of have a loop or have a feed of this dump and this export of my conversations and things like that, maybe once a month, right? So it's always got a track of that, and I'll systemize it at some point. But with that kind of flowing and going in the background, I also want it to be able to access all of my personal stuff like emails, this, that, and the other things that I've got in my to-do list. But again, with prioritization, just I've got something that as soon as I launch my PC or my Surface, once this is all kind of set up properly, whatever device that I'm on that I can access this system on, I've got a visual view of, okay, cool, here's my things that I've got outstanding that I can make progress on. Here are the emails that are kind of screaming and need a response. Here's a response that we've curated for you. Do you want us to sort this out for you? Job done. And then from that, maybe there's projects that I'm working on that are happening in the background, but I want to be able to have a bit more of a visual overview of them. click through the project as I'm working through. I want to be able to actually see like a POV of what my agents are actually doing and get that. So it's just a really personalized assistance for the things that I want to visualize more of. I'll tweak it here and there. I'll add to it here and there, but that's essentially what I'm building and what I'm putting together. And the whole purpose here isn't so much exactly the system that I'm building or why I'm building it. It's not to monetize the system and whatever else. It's just an aid for me, as someone that's got ADHD, to control that adrenaline buzz and that context switching. I want to be able to be a bit more focused, see where my thoughts are, close off certain things, and have something that's actually now the driving force behind what I'm doing. And that's the objective here. But as I'm building this, I'm showing you best practice in terms of structuring a project, in terms of the thoughts behind laying the correct foundation. Because as I said, this stream's been going for an hour and 15 minutes, and we're still very, very early doors of the laying the kind of foundations. We've not built anything visual yet. We've done an ideation session for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. Cool. Look at that. So that's done. Sanity check before building. Cool. This is amazing. So as I was kind of like talking you through all of that, slice one is done and fully deployed, armed and verified. Here's where it stands. So inspected 147 meg of conversations by streaming, no full load. Confirm the real schema and surface the build critical detail. And again, this is kind of like the architecture, the skeleton behind the bones, the real structure of it all. It built all of the text features, the export sample, 5 real conversations, and then got all of the notes and stuff like that. And then it built the actual manifold, valid whatever, and then the gates as well. So then what it did is it verified the fixtures are get ignored. Again, it's private conversations. I don't want these published on any kind of public repo. So it's implemented get ignore. And then, yeah, so all of that there. And then sanity check before blah, blah, blah is now in contract. Is now the contract. I provide a strict show. Run Claude Code in plan mode plus ECD to implement the manage ingest against the green when correct. The build agent must map human roles and counts. Want me to clean up the now redundant root files. Zip. Lose the project protect gate and zero or leave everything. No, let's clean. Old start. Of course, and we're now at the end of the planning phase. We've just hit our first stage gate, and the first slice was just to be able to get that ingest in, get the emit signal out, and then see that the messages can actually be transmitted that JSON file into something useful, which has been able to do. And that was what the first, and that was what the first slice was actually supposed to do. So yeah, that's good. Now I'm gonna get on to the next phase. The project memory. Why is it reading from memory? Not memory. Now cool. Now I want to build in the first final state of the Axle cockpit. Status red on purpose, fully armed. Okay, cool. final state of code, blah blah blah. Removes all the redundant duplicates, blah blah blah. PyTest on fails only for the module. Da, da, da. The correct pre-build say everything the build needs is in place. Gate frozen with the verified contacts 30, blah blah blah, and then it's saved the project memory, so future sessions know that the gate is armed. And the fixture is get ignored, blah 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 blah. You're clear to start the build, run the clone in plan mode against the spec, and then the TDD to implement. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna start a new session to kick that off now. Or are you taking it from here? No. So I want to actually, I want to, no, run the handoff skill. Run handoff, and we will trigger the in the next. Okay. So what that's gonna do is contextualize all of this, whittle it all down, and then I'll be able to move to the next session with a brand new context window, fresh set of tokens, all the clarity in the world for Claude, and then I'll be able to show you this handoff skill as well. So again, this is what I was talking about earlier with the context not breaching the 160k upper limit that I've set. Obviously I've got a million tokens and whatnot per session that I can use, but I don't go over 160k. Right, so I'm just waiting for this to do its thing. So yeah, so once this has collated everything, it's calculated the number of tokens, and then moving forward, it's going to tell me as well, once I'm approaching, I think once I'm over 140k tokens, it will be able to tell me where I'm at, how many tokens I've used in a session, and then yeah, you can see the hooks are not, the handoff hooks are not wired in, so the session start auto injection won't fire. The next session just open. If you'd like to paste the three hooks, boom, close out. No, can you just do them? Yeah, just wire them. Like, why are you asking me to do it? Just do it. Wire them for me. Cool. So it's wiring everything up with regards to the handoff setup and then the handoff helper, and then connecting that to the temp folder, where it will be reading all of the token utilization, tracking the token use based off the number of messages sent, and then from there it will be able to flag and track when a session started, how long a session has been running for, how many messages have been kind of transmitted within that session, and then from that it's kind of it will create an estimate of the number of tokens that can pop up and remind me or tell me that I'm getting close to that sweet spot, and then I can create a handoff and move things to the next layer. Sorry, the next session, next layer. What? Cool. So you can see here, so it creates this handoff state in a temp folder. So then it's saved in memory in terms of where I'm at, number of tokens used, and then that's what it's always referencing. Cool. So the hooks are all wired in. And yeah, so it's yeah. Next session, online plan. Cool. So it's good to stop there, and then I can now load a new session, and usually once this is obviously triggered from the next one, as soon as I've loaded a new session, it should flag and reference. So now I'm just going to quickly press Shift and Tab to enter planning mode, and then I'm pasting in the last command from the last one, just so that it can pick up where it left off and it knows what it needs to do. Can throw it in a different place. Under existing project structure. No manager. Is it the actual? Dum, dum, dum. Cool. So that's cracking on, and yeah, that's cracking on and sorting out its itself, calculating the number of messages and the number of messages that need to be run through the manifold. The logic counts errors. Yeah, so it's checking that the logic is counting all the errors correctly, which is good. Valid with 3 errors, empty. So it's just going through the motions, and so that's still cracking on there. I'm just checking something real in the background. There was something that I wanted to just quickly consult. Which is annoying me. Yeah, it's not annoying me, but see where we're at. This now. Cool. So the schema from the real fixtures, top array conversation. So it's found everything in terms of the unique user ID, create a time, create a date, the chat messages, the message have a sender, whether it's a human assistant, created that, and then the context, typed blocks, text, counters verified as substantive note logic. So sender, human, assistant, concatenated, everything. So all of that is there. So now we're going to enter the plan. The plan is complete and grounded in the verified fixture schema, and then confirm note. And the one real gotcha, which is the import path resolution. Let me present for approval. Claude's plan is in PC. Claude's plan MD plan against mode spec. Accept this plan. No. I'm going to review the plan. And of course, when I say I'm going to review the plan, we are going to review the plan, me and my AI friend who I'm co-building this with. So I'm going to just quickly peer review. I'm just going to quickly launch a peer review of this with, gosh, what am I doing? With Codex quick. Okay, well. Okay. So we're gonna accept this. And yes, that is me being sporadic. let's follow the TDD route. Let's start to this. Cool. So we've confirmed that the red PyTest is working, and it shows all of the connection errors. That's confirmed. We're now just doing the Py project import red test, which is the ingest skeleton. And like I was saying before, people, this is necessary. It all sounds long and it all sounds very much, like, why aren't you just bashing away and prompting and saying, build me this, make the tool do this, make the tool do that. All of these planning stages and basically the laying the groundwork, it is more important because it's going to save me once you guys see that the system is actually built up and ready and it's shippable, because this is one of like the biggest issues that people end up having when they just, I guess, vibe code without all of these planning steps and whatnot, is that you quickly realize that, number one, you can ship something that looks like it works, but then when you investigate all of these other things in terms of, okay, the folder structure, in terms of the security layers, in terms of the networking architecture, in terms of the hardening or the infrastructure hardening, all of those things have been missed out of the scope, and they don't work. And that means that you've got something that you can't ship, right? So taking the extra time, taking the extra, I guess, hours or however long it ends up taking, having that extra time under your within the session really in your build ends up actually saving you time in the long run, because you're not having to debug and fix things and kind of loop back on your logic and unpick things where, number one, you might not be technically adapt or technically able to do that, which obviously the whole thing with AI, it removes the barrier to entry, right? In terms of you don't need to have a coding background. You don't need to have, studied computer science. You don't need to have built a system before. You don't need to know what any of the syntax means and whatever else. But then because of that, it means that we've got people out here building things, just again, vibe coding. And once you hit a roadblock where your system's not working, you've not got a clue in terms of where to start debugging, you're prompting AI to debug for you, and it's doing its own thing because it's pulling, I guess, errors based off of context that you've given it. It's a recipe for this. It's a recipe for disaster. So yes, I'd rather take my time. I mean, um, I'm not super hot with, um, I'm not the best coder in the world, but I know my way around Python. I know my way around HTML, JavaScript. I know my way around C to a degree, SQL, a few other languages. So looking at context, looking at the syntax, looking at the structure of a file and things like that, and then even just having a solid understanding in terms of how systems are put together, the best practice in terms of how systems are put together, it helps in these situations because the knowing the building blocks allows you to build quicker. Number one, build stuff that's not going to break, and if it breaks, you've got the know-how to point the tool in the right direction, to give it the correct context, to speak to it, even if you don't really understand the code, or you've not got your eyes on every single line of code that's being built, or any of the code being built. You've still got enough know-how to instruct it if something goes wrong. You can debug, and I think that's the biggest skill set that will separate a lot of these vibe coders from the AI engineers, from even just, I mean, you don't have to be an AI engineer, but someone with system experience, being able to determine and investigate and troubleshoot and identify where a system has gone wrong. Is it a database issue that's probably causing something that's gone wrong? Is it a file structure item that's gone wrong? Is it a potential typo? Is it a variable or table that's being called incorrectly? Is there a joiner that's broken somewhere? Right? And all of these are things that having the knowledge, having the exposure as well, will help in the long run. But yeah. Cool. So this date, let's get signal matters. Blah, blah, blah. It's not committed. Want me to commit or run a code review on the new model? No, let's run a code review. Thorough. Mm. Mm. I saw something that's actually quite alarming there. 1 second. This thing said it returned 3. Why is it 3 when it's supposed to be 30? Notes manifold skipped 3. Why did it skip 3? There's supposed to be 30 messages there. Why is it skipped 3? I need to go back and reference that. Schlepping. On then. But why? What do you mean collision? Why is it collided? Things are not supposed to be colliding. Not good. Okay, confirmed. Pass a wholly unpassable export, and the valid non-list top level raises the value error. Instead of returning note count equals 0, violates the spec. Okay, it's not good. Not good at all. parsable file was not zero. Real but latent. Won't trigger the fixture time. Suspect low priority. File name collision is resolved per base, not by final name. So not on the final name. A natural slug equal to another's note base 2 can collide after suffixing 2 notes and raw and okay, your specific A to E. And the breaks none found. Ensure iterated global latest is computed in the first pass over row conversational message created before the notes exist. This is deterministic safe worth refuted reviewer noise verified against also videos also okay clean operation 2 passes until recommend confirm fix okay. See, but I want while this is happening. I want to quickly run this agent. I want to so I want a staging. It's not needed because we've got that one already. I'm just taking skills from one project that I want to repurpose. I want to repurpose. Yeah, with file. Okay. Okay, no, that's fine. I can do that. Triage issue. Good. What's one that I'm not seeing? Wanted. Already got the guard. Zoom out. Go triage. Where is the triage? Yeah, written triage skill. The diagnose. I've got diagnose already as well. No, I haven't. Yes, I have. Ignore me. Ugh, silly me. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So that can do that while I'm looking through this. Cool. So it's doing the recommendation. While it's doing that, I'm gonna just quickly accept this, which is fine to do. And see, this is now where naturally speaking, I would be opening up a ton of different projects and trying to work through them while these things are happening. which is the best kind of for me because I like it, but it's not the best in terms of getting things actually done and sitting down and focusing. Um, this is probably the longest I've sat and spent time in a single project, as in the same one, and not been bouncing around and things like that. So even just this streaming session and things like that, it's actually helping me to focus on a single track of single work flow. So yeah, cool. I'm just getting these skills installed. Both are valid. Da, 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 da. Have these been installed yet or not? The diagnostics, the diagnosis, install these two skills. Both these files and skills must come along. The already goes into the that's fine. Yeah, that's okay. That's cool. Again, I'm not going to be sitting there trying to correct Claude's code. Yeah. Collisions ID, resolved, fix, crash, and passed. Is it actually passed? Bad recommendation. This is what I wanted to actually get installed as well. The auto You see these gotchas because even the moment that you start building things and relying on your plan and going slow and whatever else. So this tool is so the skill that I just asked it because I was thinking I need to build in this auto research and kind of get it to continue to loop until it's actually fixed and done things to spec. And this has been going off and doing its own thing. And I have to now like kind of make sure that this isn't happening again. So it's time to actually discipline Claude. So did this. This was baked into the and you do that. Wow, it's crazy. So I followed the red green refactor in spirit and respected the gate, but I batched the implementation instead of doing the per test incremental loop. The skill defined. The plan said TDD loop, and I didn't run it. And the thing is, the context window is not even huge, which is so annoying. So I followed the red, green, and whatever. And I didn't run it. Particularly, I didn't change the outcome. It didn't change. Practically didn't change the outcome here. The module is small, cohesive, and the gate is green. But you asked for precise question, and the answer is no. If you want, I can't meaningfully redo the loop now that it's green. Okay. Good question. And the honest answer is structural, not I slipped. Let me ground it. Let me ground it in what the rules actually are versus what the harness can enforce. And let me look at the hook wiring. It's reading the settings JSON where it failed. Look at which rule held. Look at which rules held and which didn't. Don't edit the test or the spec, the back mechanism, higher rules, whatever. Use the TDD small step, backed only by pros. And the TDD behavior. All three describe behavior, none enforced it. I read TDD loop as guidance. Okay. So the failure isn't Claude ignore the rule. It's a category error in the rules design. Okay, cool. What can actually be enforced by return cadence hook forces a test. Okay, it's a principle. I can implement 1, 2, 3 from now on by and make change to improve that's going to at least patch that up so that we don't fall under that trap moving forward. And we're 2 hours in. Solid going. I reckon 1 more hour. 1 more hour. It's going to be 2 a.m. Cool. So the principle is there. That's looks. Cool. So while that's doing that, I now want to actually run the go high level. just to see where we're at. And again, this is one of the rules that, also not rules, one of the skills that we've built as well. And this allows you to zoom out to see where you are in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, the build is very granular, but this allows us to go zoom out, see where we're at in the project in relation to the grand scheme of things in terms of the spec. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I'm at the ingest. Implementing looks complete for slice one. The ingest is 438 lines covering 6 acceptance criterias. Fixtures supplied. The expected note count is 30. There is a power clutch that's failed. 2 non-obvious traps and specs, blah, blah, blah. And this just kind of gives you an overview of where we're at. You see, so this is what the whole point of this skill is. At this level, we'll go very granular and we'll focus very much on the detail. But with this skill, we can pull it back and look exactly where we're at in terms of our what our spec defines as what we're trying to build. And then we can channel in and kind of go high level. Sorry. Yeah. You know what I mean? It really does feel like a grind doing it this way and building with this infrastructure, but there will be a payoff in that we'll build something that's very, very robust and that we have full visibility of from top to bottom, back to front. Okay, cool. So I'm just hardening this, just to make sure that we've got that built in the future, so that it's not skipping. And then we can continue with the build, right? In fact, what I might end up doing actually is doing a context switch, but it hasn't. Sorry, handoff, but it hasn't flagged for anything yet. So I just want to see where we're at from a session perspective. The here dot keeps mangling backslashes. Let me just print the raw command strings. No base names, munging. What? What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's exactly right. I would have perceived that. How are you mangling? I've not heard that word in a while. Never heard actually AI use that word. Mangling up the backslashes. What? I can't wait to see what this actually looks like. Because I do ask AI some stupid things, but then I also have some moments of sheer brilliance. So we'll see. We'll see. Everything is clean. Everything is clean. No strays. Okay, that's good. Very good. I'm not happy that the memory element is sitting in the umbrella root. Okay, 4 hooks, which is good. Let's really enforce that TDD. Good. Green commit. Okay. So want me to commit slice one now? Yeah, let's commit. Cool. So we're committing slice one to the repo. Go in. Very good going. Oh, pardon God. Okay, 0 over 10. Green. Fine. Now staging the commit. I'll commit to the commit return the near instantly. Commit God put only on failure, so I can't confirm it actually fired. Likely hasn't looked session. Okay, so we fixed that. Still uncommitted. Oh, true. Done. Oh, nice. 2 clean commits on the master, which is number 1, the first slice with each ingestion layer. Then the change that we made to the TDD. And then the working tree clean. Step 2 untracked directories are the diagonals and left touches. where things stand. Slice one is shipped and got dodged, and now fine. 2 open threads. Those 2 straight. I mean, look at what they are. We need them. Telling me that you didn't create them. I asked you whether you created them. Project. Cool. Working trees now. Perfect. Everything committed and nothing left on track. Next up, whenever you're ready, the Obsidian eyeball check. But I reckon it's going to be miswired, and there's going to be something missing from the settings file, from the settings JSON. That's not linking them, even though we asked several times for this to be connected, and we gave it a clear instruction to connect it. I bet you that's what's happened. These sort of things are so annoying. Why am I at 22k? By design, that notice, by design, the notice is model facing, not a user profile. Injects an additional context in my context, so I can proactively offer a hand. But you didn't do it, so you'd never see the direct prompt. You'd see me raise it. I should have flagged it earlier. That's on me. More foundationally, the check context hook almost certainly never fired in this session, and the handoff hooks were wired into the settings. I told you the settings.json in the 2 previous session, basically at the start of a session, and prior to the handoff notes, explicit said restart the sessions or run the hooks for them to register if the session didn't reload the config. Either way, I can write the handoff manually now, that we're in an ideal checkpoint. Annoying. Make sure So good. Really annoying. Really, really annoying. But I did say it. It's gonna reference something from that settings.json and then claim that it's not been wired up properly. But it's working just fine in Claude. I'm guessing it might have something to do with the fact that cursor is, yeah, it needs to be done slightly differently within cursor. Understood three things to, yeah, three things. Write the handoff and make the context user, not just inject into the context. And I fix the trigger. Yeah, the emit. Cool. I'm just gonna quickly run this. And then let me see. That's it might be quick. I'm gonna run this and then let's see what the next. Yeah, let me run this. The notice now carries both system. Okay, cool. So you see it in cursor. Okay, that's fine. And then now it's gonna make the handoff, which is good. Handoff written. Yeah, so let me start a new session. Hopefully this is working now. But where's the prompt at the top to tell me to continue from where I left off? Not there, is it? Cool. So we want to continue the next step. Just give it permission to read the handoff document. And font. Cool. Come on. So the next step at the moment looks like it could be a fun one. So, right, just spine. SQL. So now this element is now building what the output of those messages get transferred or transported, and then now ingesting them into the nodes that we'll see that look like obviously the Obsidian modules, and then mapping everything across. Right, so this is the layer that we're building. So you can see that everything's being built as the backbones and the spine of the operation. And then once all of that's done, it's just a matter of plotting on all of the graphical and the front facing elements of everything. But in terms of all the data points, all of them are getting connected slowly. And that's what we're doing now, making sure that all of that bit works. Whereas 9 times out of 10, most of the people building systems now, when you go to build a system, we want to see it all visual. We want to see how it's all operating and moving things around. But then the moment that you're getting errors, you're not seeing how these things connect from the back end. And then it makes troubleshooting or kind of advancing on these features a lot more difficult without seeing and knowing. So there's been a fail on the database query, only in the PowerShell quote for PowerShell quote escaping, and that not being tracked. So all the other tags and things like that connected fine. There was a failure on the PowerShell encoding. So now all the structural checks passed, the database schema matches, which is good. Proceed. Brilliant day. Cool. So the debugging tree is clean except for the Claude handoff MD. Okay, so that needs to be obviously committed back. Going to be untracked. What's left? And it's not mine to do. Obviously, that means it's me to verify. What's left, and it's not mine to do the Obsidian eyeball. The only unverified piece is the literal visual check. Open the vault in Obsidian and confirm the recency colors. Render for the 5 colors. So I'm gonna okay, that's okay, that's Claude Code. Why? Let's do things. One's blue and one's purple clay. Come on. And the annoying thing is, and open this vault. There's trying to see where it's actually saved this vault. I want to show the people. What am I talking about then? I generated 2. Let's run it. I really get annoyed by this stupid thing sometimes. Run it. You got me. You said it's not. You've got nothing to do, and then now you're doing things. Right. So project. Open the vault, and there's nothing. Where do you go from here? And gonna put hard stop on this so that tomorrow we can pick up on this obsidian element of it. All right, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. I'm getting tired. It's 1:45 a.m. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next stream. Thank you so much.